The following episode will contain spoilers. You have been warned.
You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? Collaboration in general is a good thing. Collaborations without agreement can get very, very messy, we see, as Amber and Scott discuss Power Ballad. And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do?
Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Now it's your turn.
I have this great idea.
What's that?
There is a piece of real estate that we never really look at when it comes to advertising. Elevator doors. Elevator doors.
Why are you telling me this?
We should consider, do they do that? Or, wait, didn't you mention something about that once?
Yeah, I invented that.
You invented that.
I did when I worked at the LA Times, and we had a whole campaign, and they're like, where can we do this other than billboards and flyers and stuff? And I said, let's put them on elevator doors. And they had to go around and find printers who would actually do that. And after that time, then you started seeing ads on elevator doors, and that was never a thing until I suggested it. So I firmly believe that I was the inventor of ads on elevator doors.
You don't have anything that shows that, do you?
Unfortunately, I don't.
And that would bring us into today's movie, Power Ballad. Remember?
Yeah. So this movie is about a singer-songwriter who once upon a time kind of was doing fairly successful with his band and touring and whatnot, met a girl, fell in love, stayed in Ireland where he met her, and then never really gets back on track after he meets her and they have a baby, and his label drops him after he takes a year off. And since then, he's been staying in music adjacent, and he's basically a wedding singer in a band. And he still has a lot of talent. He's great songwriting chops, great ability to produce music and make it something special. And he winds up meeting a very popular pop star who was in a boy band and is transitioning to his solo career. And this other person his name is Danny Wilson, and he is the friend of the groom. So they're playing at this wedding. The groom's friend is Danny Wilson, and Danny Wilson comes up and does a song with them. They have a great time. And Danny and our main character, played by Paul Rudd, Rick, who is our wedding singer, former songwriter, they hang out all night. And they jam and they sing songs and they share just a love of music and they riff. And in all actuality, it's great seeing this male bonding time. And at the same time, you see that Rick is a seasoned musician. And even though Danny has huge popularity, huge success, he's still trying to make it as a solo artist.
Yeah, because he wasn't taken seriously as a boy band member.
Yeah. And Rick helps him. Danny plays some songs for him and like, this is what I'm working on. And Danny was like, oh, if you went like, oh, and gives him tweaks to make these songs better.
I'm pretty sure that was New Kids on the Block you just did there.
That was not the right stuff, although you said it. And then I was like, yeah, no, I can hear it. So they have a great night. And even though Rick initially was like, oh God, who is this dude? Wound up leaving the night loving this guy. And
I mean, enough to give him like...
Well, not Rick loving the guy. Danny gave Rick...
Danny gave Rick...
a guitar in acknowledgement of their really cool night. And it was an amazing guitar that Rick immediately just oohed and awe over when he saw it. And so then Rick walks away saying, what a great guy, what a great night, what an amazing night. And they did. They spent like the first half hour of this hour and a half film setting up this brotherhood with these two men.
Okay, we need to start with the what would you do's.
Okay.
What would you do? No, there might be other orders on this, but yeah, this will be in no particular order. When it's coming time that you're going to have to take your daughter to school.
Okay, this has no context at all, but go ahead.
Yeah, they're in the jam session.
Okay.
And
thank you.
It's getting late, or I guess early.
Yeah.
And
yeah, they've stayed up all night.
Danny was like, let's keep going. And Rick's like, I can't. I have to take my daughter to school. You call your wife. You
Well,
text your wife. You do whatever you need to do your wife and be like, I am in an insane opportunity right now that doesn't come around. I need more time.
But they had, at that point, spent probably 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. together doing this. There is something to be said for leaving before you overstay your welcome. So I don't know if I agree with that. I understand what you're saying.
But Danny was still pushing for it. He wanted to do more. Like, if he's still pushing and wanting to do more, you're like, yes.
Well, the whole point he had to get home is because his wife couldn't take her to school. So that's why he had to go to take her to school, because she couldn't. But I hear what you're saying.
Call an Uber.
What?
Call her an Uber. No, I mean, I'm like, seriously, sometimes in this world, you are presented with a few opportunities to truly capitalize on an opportunity. And it's at that point you can decide whether or not you want to capitalize on it, or if you're going to wait for your next once in a lifetime.
Well, after 6 to 8 hours, they obviously spent a lot of time collaborating and bonding and sharing their love of music, and Rick offering Danny a lot of great advice and ways to make his music pop. So if Rick had spent any more time with Danny, I think Danny might have ripped off 2 songs instead of the 1 song he ended up stealing.
Well, so when they did part ways, Danny went to Rick and handed him a card and said, hey, if you're ever in LA and you want to get together, just call my management company and they'll get a message to me and I can get back to you.
Right.
If you're Rick at that point, I'm giving Danny my number. Like, here's my number. Just if you're ever back in Ireland, or like whatever excuse you need to do to give it to him.
That's good networking. Exchange information. Just don't leave the ball in one person.
Yeah,
It's nice if the important person gives you their contact information. And will they treasure your contact information? Probably not. But you certainly should close that loop and at least put it out there. I agree. That would have been a good idea.
Yeah, there's a reason why you want to do that. And we'll get to that in a minute. Another what would you do is, like, they were jamming. And Danny straight up asked Rick, hey, do you mind if I use any of this? And Rick said, no problem.
Well, he said, do you mind if I use any of this? Because he had offered him a specific way to improve the song that was Danny's song that Danny just played for him. And Rick gave him a suggestion of, you go up here, and you go down here, and told him how to adjust it. And they sang it, and Danny loved it. So Rick made an adjustment to the song that Danny already wrote, and that's why he said, do you mind if I use this? And he says, no, go ahead.
Yeah.
That is not the same as Danny actually taking the song that was Rick's song that he shared and taking it. And
they were talking about his song and then asked if I can use this.
What?
Like, it was...
That wasn't a blanket, you can use all my crap. It was, hey, you made this suggestion for my song. Can I use it? And Rick said, yeah. That wasn't a Rick agreeing you can use everything that we share throughout a 6 or 8 hour night.
But...
And for those who haven't seen the film, the crust of the film here that we've been walking around but haven't specifically addressed is that Danny goes home. He's still trying to figure out what this one hit is, and he's pressured by the album or the production company, and he needs a song, and he's kind of just tinkering around on the piano. He starts singing this song that Rick had sung during their jam session. His girlfriend comes out at the time and says, oh my God, I love this, and who's this is about? And Danny says, well, it's about you, of course. And the girl was like, oh my gosh, you have to sing this song. It's romantic. I've never been so touched. And so he records that song, and it turns into a blockbuster with 100 billion, trillion, zillion views.
Yes. So.
And
there are
Rick
many lessons to be learned here.
hears this song at the mall and says, hey, that's my song. And the rest of the film is about Danny trying to get in touch with Rick trying to get in touch with Danny to talk about, hey, dude, I don't have a writing credit. You didn't reach out. Like, you're singing my song.
Well, you didn't reach out because you didn't give him your number.
Well, I don't think that was the problem.
I actually do think it might have been the problem. If he had been easily contactable, then
They had a mutual friend. Danny's friend is the one that hired him to sing at their wedding. It's not like he couldn't have reached him if he wanted to. That would have been super easy.
he could have gotten through, but it's not as easy as just picking up the phone and calling him.
You're assuming that Danny had ethics, and the only reason he left Rick out of this whole scenario is because he didn't have the phone number. He didn't leave it out because he needed a hit. He needed a win.
But this is not an ethics situation.
Of course it is.
Of course it's not, for sure. Because here's the deal. Like, if you're going to take somebody else's song, if there is any proof out there whatsoever that song belonged to somebody other than you and you release it as yours, say goodbye to your career. You're done. Like, you can't do that. So if there's any question, you've got to be like, hey, listen.
Well, you can do that. You get your hand slapped and you get your bank account jerked around, but of course you can't. Everyone can do something wrong. There just might be repercussions from it. Yeah.
So it's just easier to reach out to Rick up front.
But he didn't want to. Why are you assuming good intent here? His girl thought this was his song that he had written for her, and then it turned into this single he was going to make and to make the record company happy, and it turned into a hit. He doesn't want to say, oh, by the way, I'm trying to make it as a solo artist and for people to take me seriously, but this isn't my song. It's a wedding singer song.
For one, you don't have to say it's a wedding singer song. People can get co-write credits on things easily without naming their day profession.
Why do you think Danny had good intentions and the only reason he didn't do that is because he didn't have the guy's phone number?
Because it wasn't easy. That's the thing. If you make something difficult, you're right. Like, why would he take any difficult steps whatsoever to do this? He'd just make it his own. But if you're Rick, you make sure that Danny has something. He has a direct contact.
Okay, assume that you're right, which you're not, but assume that you're right.
Well,
hang on.
But Danny showed later in the movie that he knew there was a ping. Like, shouldn't we just cut this guy a check?
Okay, but before that, Rick reached out to the number that you talked about on the card to talk to Danny's manager to be able to talk to Danny, and Danny's manager goes to Danny and says, hey, this guy keeps calling. Is there any truth to this? And Danny kind of hems and haws and basically says, nah, not really.
Because there's nothing he can say at that point. It's already been released. Like, who the songwriter is.
It's your manager. You're truthful with your manager. And if it really was an ethics thing it wasn't an ethics thing, it was a convenience thing, he would have said, oh man, I didn't know his number. I live in the modern world of 2026, but I didn't know his number, so I didn't reach out to him. Is my bad? Mea culpa. That's a little overly simplistic. He had a chance multiple times to make it right, and he didn't. And that's not even we have to announce it kind of a thing. It's like, hey, I did you wrong. You found out about it, which was the only problem for Danny. And here's some money, because obviously now I am a successful solo artist.
But Danny's got to know where this song came from. He's got to know that the guy is going to, if it blows up, he's eventually going to hear it. And then you're going to hear from him. Like, that's the thing. If there's any question on a writing credit, you've got to reach out to whoever could be involved ahead of time. Because once it's out, it's nasty to clean up. It's horrible to clean up, as we see.
Okay, so what was your other? What would you do? Do you lose it? Do you want me to?
Yeah, go ahead and continue.
Okay, all right. So when Rick reaches out, and then the manager goes to Danny before he responds and says, "Hey, dude, is there anything to this? This guy keeps calling. What would you do if you were Danny?" Assuming you're like, hey, I couldn't reach this guy because I didn't have his phone number. If you want to keep that whole narrative going, what would you do at that point?
So your agent, for all practical purposes, is your lawyer.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm saying you tell them the truth.
And there are two people on this planet that you should never lie to
Yes, your lawyer and your therapist.
your lawyer and your therapist.
Yeah, that's why I said he should tell him the truth of saying, yeah, I cut him out. My bad. We should pay him.
Yeah, he could say, hey, listen, we were jamming that night. I can't say I remember exactly like who came up with precisely what or anything. But yeah, this guy might have a reasonable claim. So we should reach out to him.
So
But it's so much easier to do it before you publish the song.
he didn't wanna. He didn't wanna.
But here's the thing. He maybe could have said, how about this? Let me write you a check for $25,000 for that. Just flat, here you go.
I would want more if I was Rick.
But you don't know. It's one song. You don't know if it's going to be a hit.
It is a hit because Rick heard it on the radio at the mall.
But I'm saying before you put it out there, you don't know that it's going to be a hit. So you try to get somebody to sign something for a flat fee.
You're going back in time. My question was, what do you do when Danny's manager comes to Danny, if you're Danny, and says, hey, this guy keeps calling. It is already a hit. It has already been on the radio.
You've got to get to the guy, get him to sign
Rick.
Yeah, essentially a non-disparagement agreement.
And you got to give him a hell of a lot more than $25,000 because that song has made you now a successful solo artist.
Well, here's the problem. Like, at that point, really, if you're Danny's side, you have all the leverage unless Rick has some proof, which it didn't appear he had.
Yeah, he looked around for all of his old recordings. And
at which point you have no leverage whatsoever. It's like it's an all or nothing situation at that point. Because if Rick can't prove it, then it's like you in the elevator doors.
Well, and here's the problem is Rick does look for videos. He looks for audio files. He talks to his wife. He talks to his daughter. Like, you recognize this song, right? And they're like, no, I've never heard that. He talks to his bandmates. You've heard me sing this song, right? And they're like, no, haven't heard it. And he can find no evidence. And here's our next what would you do? What would you do if there was no evidence? And I know how big you are on evidence of what you were saying and the people around you didn't believe you.
Did you document it? No? Okay,
So you wouldn't believe him? If you were his wife or his daughter or his bandmates, you wouldn't believe him because there's not documentation?
I'd believe you. I'd say, okay, sure. You did this?
You'd probably say probably. Yeah,
but
probably
if you don't,
did.
But if you don't have documentation for it,
you'd say, sure, I believe you? Because that doesn't sound like you. But that's what you're saying? You'd say, sure, I believe you, even without evidence?
No, I'd say, I believe you on the elevator door thing. And there's no evidence.
Because why would I make up something so weird?
Yeah. But from, again, a legal standpoint, if you don't have evidence, you don't have anything. And you can't let a situation like this drag you down.
Okay, so we're not talking about legal stuff. We're talking about the people. And that was part of the problem with Rick is he does not have evidence. And it's one thing for your bandmates not to believe you. It's a whole other thing for your wife and your daughter not to believe you.
Well, daughter texted before he went to LA and said, I believe you.
Well, after she heard the whole big fight and he left, and if he was willing to pack up and leave the house and storm off over that, I think at that point you got to be revisiting whether or not you think your dad's telling the truth, and probably wouldn't do that if he was just lying.
Yeah. And on a abysmally micro scale, I recently had a dispute in a game of something that I said I did, and there should have been an appropriate reward for that, and the system didn't record me doing it. And they're like, we don't have a record of doing this, of you doing this. And I'm like, well, I did. So I wasn't thrilled because they weren't backing off. They were like, okay, well, we can't give it to you without evidence. I kind of understand that. But the part that got me was they kept writing back and said, you did not do this. Like they made a declarative, you did not do this statement. And that's what made me want to push back really hard. Oh, yeah, I did it. Whether or not you guys realize it, I freaking did it. And that made me kind of double down on the whole thing, as did Rick. Start really doubling down when people say, well, we don't believe you.
Yeah, it sucks when you say something and someone doesn't believe you. Big time.
So, anyway, yeah, go ahead.
So, what Rick ends up doing is he's not getting his calls returned. Finally, the manager calls back and basically says, Danny says he doesn't know who you are. Stop calling here. Stop harassing us.
Kick rocks.
And you're never to call this office again. And that happens. His wife doesn't believe him. Nobody believes him. And he decides to fly from Ireland to Los Angeles. And he is going to attend Danny's concert and confront him. So what would you do at that point where you have left your home because you are so hurt and upset that nobody believes you? Is that the step you would take, is go try and track down Danny in person? What would you do?
Well, I will let you know what I do right after this break.
Overwhelmed by the technical side of podcasting? Duncast makes creating a professional-sounding podcast incredibly simple.
I was terrified of the technical side of podcasting. Duncast made it so simple that I launched my first episode in under 30 minutes.
Just record, and our patent-pending AI tools handle the rest, giving you studio-quality sound at a fraction of the time and cost. We also distribute your show to all major platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so all you have to worry about is being the creator.
If you want it done fast, use Duncast. Visit Duncast.com to start your free, no credit card required trial today.
Okay, we're back. You wanted to know what I would do? At this point, he is sort of doing the whole descending into madness type thing. At a certain point, it really does become mostly about his mental well-being. And yeah, you kind of become a desperate man at that point. So yeah, sure. I'd go for it at that point. You're in the binge of losing everything because you can't get this out of your head.
And before he leaves, as part of this, all of this stuff piling up on him emotionally, is at a wedding gig, the couple asks them to play their favorite song, which is the song in question, which they know from Danny making it a hit. And obviously that is not only stabbing Rick with a knife, but it's twisting it repeatedly with a whole bunch of rusty nails in there to boot.
I sing it. 100% sing it.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. You still know, regardless of what everyone else might think, that that's actually your song. It might be given credit to somebody else, but it's yours. So you can sing it the way you want to sing it. Like, I'm not letting the song own me. I'm owning the song.
It's hard. I can imagine that would be a hard pill to swallow. If someone wants to hear the song sung by the guy who stole your song, I can completely understand not wanting to sing it. Because you're just saying, oh yeah, that guy has a great song, I'll sing it for you.
You could not sing it and then just lose your job.
Which happened.
That's the thing. You're putting emotion before business at this point. Now, I can understand him wanting to push back a little bit. Be like, hey, when she comes up and asks for it, like, hey, listen, it is a very long story that I'm legally not allowed to tell you, but there is a reason why we don't do that one song. We can do pretty much anything, but for, again, reasons I legally can't tell you, we don't do that song. Once you start using phrases like legal, it makes it clear to the other person, like, this isn't just like some small preference. This is like, there's a reason we don't do this song. And I think that would have kept him from even having to do it in the first place.
And then we have Rick in LA, and he brings his bestie bandmate Sandy with him. They track down Danny. They go to his concert. They find their mutual friend who hired him to play at the wedding. So that's the guy who would have given the number very conveniently that you mentioned earlier. And off he goes to confront Danny. And Danny ultimately ends up starting to admit that he knows what he did, but then security and the manager break it all up.
tracks him down while he's in the freaking hot tub with a couple of ladies.
Well, he tracks him down when he's in the house, and he does ultimately go, what? So what would you do is I wouldn't bug him if he was with some ladies in the hot tub? Is that bro code? Like, I want millions from you or money or compensation, but no, you're with some girls right now?
I guess it's fine.
I'll let you get your freak on and we can talk later.
You could talk to him. Don't step in the hot tub with him.
Well, he's obviously, that's an extreme thing that he did, is getting in the hot tub fully
clothed, what he's doing
but
is, he's saying I'm mentally unstable.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what he's saying.
But you don't, again, if you're wanting...
Because he is at that point. He's lost his job. His wife and daughter don't believe him. He is pretty agitated.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not saying he's not agitated. But it's, you know that whole never let them see you sweat?
Yeah.
That's what that is right there. Is that you've got to be cool about this and just be like, hey, man, listen, I get it. We were jamming that night. We had a lot to drink. It was a long night. We did a lot of really cool stuff. And maybe some things got mixed up in the process of figuring out, like, what did we create? What was already out there, etc. That one was mine because I wrote it for my 2-year-old daughter, and that's why I know it's mine. So, can we do something here that makes this cool between us? Because you're making a ridiculous amount of money on this song that really was mine.
And that's the conversation that starts happening before the manager and security guard break it up, and they have to escape before the security guards drag them off. But
at that point, he'd already pushed him over a ledge.
Well, he didn't push him over the ledge. Danny backed up and fell over the wall where the hot tub was and then fell to the ground, but he didn't push him.
They were physically entangled. That's one of those
He didn't push him. He didn't push him over the edge.
Because of what he did physically, Rick did physically, it caused Danny to go over the edge.
Danny backed up
if
too
Rick's
far
not, if Rick's not holding Danny.
Okay, I don't have a hearing problem.
If Rick's not holding Danny, Danny doesn't go over the edge.
He didn't push him over the edge. So anyway, we fast forward to the end, and at this point, Rick has had his say, and he's made peace with the fact that, okay, I talked to Danny, I've said what I needed to, I'm good, and I can actually move forward. And he's been able to sing the song when it's requested, and he goes back to his job as a wedding singer, asks for his job back, sings a song when it's requested, and he has found a way to move forward. And at the same time, we're flashing back and forth between Rick resuming his life and Danny continuing to play sold-out concerts to massive crowds. And we think, as he comes out and does an encore, and he's going to sing the stolen song, we think he's going to have a moment of clarity,
conscience,
and divulge that, hey man, this couldn't be possible without Rick Power. You think he's going to acknowledge Rick, and he doesn't. And
because he can't, he's pinned in.
You can say you can clean it up behind the scenes, but you can still say, I got to give my man Rick props. We sat together one night and we worked on this beautiful song that I'm honored to share with you today. And Rick, you're my man.
If I'm his agent, I drop him.
Well,
the second he does that.
And his agent, you can tell, is nervous because he thinks that Danny's going to say something, and Danny doesn't. And I love that ending because it is not perfect with a bow, like, oh, I have this epiphany and now I'm going to be a good person, because people can be good people and still be selfish and self-serving and have lapses of judgment. And I loved that this didn't all of a sudden just have this, hey, I did the wrong thing and now I'm going to go right. I loved that we ended with Danny being a flawed human being and this still weighing on him and him not coming out. But right after that,
and at this point now, it's bad blood. It really is, because hey, I most want something, and he left there with nothing. Maybe it's bad blood.
I don't think it's bad. I think Rick's made peace with the fact that I said what I wanted to say and I move forward. I don't know if there's bad blood there.
But it's because at that point he's like, there's nothing I can do. Like,
yeah.
It really was and again, it's what it goes back to. It's like, Did you document? Do you have any proof whatsoever? And if you don't, you just kind of have to suck it up and be like, I should have documented it. That's why I have a patent over the Duncast magic words. I documented it.
So at the very end, we see that his daughter is playing around on his computer, which, I'm sorry, personal space, girl. You shouldn't be messing around on your dad's computer. But in doing so, she finds an old family video of when she was a young girl and her dad singing that song while she and her mother are in the room.
That's not good for Danny.
No, it's not. And we know that because right after that, we think that's the end. And we see Rick walking down the street and throwing a whole big wad of money in a street musician's guitar.
Because at that point,
we got paid.
Rick doesn't want a piece. Rick gets the whole damn pie.
Yeah. He
literally can sue for everything that song made. Everything.
Yep.
It's not even, again, this is why you reach out to somebody on something like this and you can pay them a little money and be fine with it. Or at any point other than when his daughter found the video, making this a done deal. Like, you just sue and you get everything. Now, I don't know if he's had much of a, I guess you do probably have a career once it's actually out there. Hey, I wrote this. Maybe some other people are more interested in your work. But yeah, good for Asia.
His daughter.
For finding it and obviously bringing it to his attention. Good for him for finally getting the writing credits for it. Like me, I'm big on legal stuff. I'm also big on credit. If somebody truly deserves credit, give it to them. Because if you don't, you may find out later that you really wish you had.
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.